Okay, hello again student. So today in this video we will continue the subtopic 1.2 Meristematic Tissue and Growth for chapter 1 Biology form 5 Organizations of Plant Tissues and Growth. Okay, in Philippians 4 verse 13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4 verse 13. Objectives. Okay, in this video you'll be able to identify and compare two types of growth. Number 2, you can describe the necessity of primary and secondary growth. Number 3, you can describe the economic importance of plants that have undergone secondary growth. Okay, so the first one, again, I'm sorry for the quality of this video because I used a slideshow and the textbook that I used is in low quality, right? Because kita belum lagi ada apa ini complete English versions of biology form 5. Okay, hopefully kita akan dapat soon lah. Alright, so we continue. Types of growth. There are two types of growth in plants, yaitu primary growth and secondary growth. Okay, we go to primary growth first. Primary growth. Primary growth is the growth that occurs after germination, and it takes place in all plants to elongate their stems and roots. So itu adalah primary growth. Selepas percambahan ataupun selepas germination berlaku, so tumbuhan itu akan memanjang. Memanjang apa? Memanjang dia punya stems and roots. So itu adalah primary growth. So the primary growth takes place in apical meristem at the shoot tips and root tips. Okay, yang previous class kita sudah belajarkan di mana itu apical meristem tissue kan. So dia di shoot tips and also di root tips. Primary growth starts when the meristem cells in the zone of cell division of apical meristems are actively dividing. Okay, dia bermula di zone of cell division. Still remember kan mana itu zone of cell division. And then followed by elongation and differentiation. So ketiga-tiga zone itu adalah melibatkan primary growth of plants. At the shoot tips, the leaf primordium and the shoot primordium will grow to form new leaves and shoots. Okay, here the leaf primordia here, okay, will grow to form new leaves and shoots. Dia akan menghasilkan new leaves and shoots. This will enable the plants to increase in height. At the root tips, the root cap will become exhausted when they penetrate the soil. This causes the cell of the root cap to be replaced by the meristem cell. Okay, meristem cell itu yang upper, root cap itu, and then the meristem cell yang upper one. Okay, yang kita sudah belajar di previous class. Okay, so this one yang lebih jelas lah. Alright. Okay, itu yang tadi adalah primary growth. The second types of growth adalah secondary growth. Secondary growth occur mainly in eudicots and a small number of monocots, such as a shrub. Okay, to increase the circumference or diameter of plant stem and root. What is eudicots? Eudicots itu adalah dicotyledon. Okay, So yang ini secondary growth adalah lebih kepada increase in the diameter. Okay, diameter of the plant stem and also the root. Okay. Can you identify eudicots that go through primary growth only? For non-woody plants such as herbaceous plant, secondary growth does not happen. Non-woody plants, tumbuhan tidak berkayu seperti tumbuhan herbaceous plant. Secondary growth results from the divisions of lateral meristem. Okay, lateral meristem located in the stem. Ingatkan, lateral meristem dalam kita punya kelas yang sebelum ini, kita sudah belajar di mana itu lateral meristematic tissue kan, yang di stem kan, and also in the root. Lateral meristems consist of vascular cambium and cork cambium. So lateral meristem consists of vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium located between phloem and xylem tissues in vascular bundle. Cork cambium located under the epidermal layer. So here, this is the cork cambium. This is the vascular cambium. This is the primary phloem and this is the secondary phloem. This is the primary xylem and this is the secondary xylem. Ini yang lebih jelas. Cork cambium here. This one is the vascular cambium. Primary phloem, secondary phloem, primary xylem, secondary xylem. Okay, so this is the cross sections of eudicot stem that shows the secondary growth. Okay, secondary growth at the stem. Secondary growth at the stem, first year, second year, and third year. Third year. Alright. First year. Okay. This is the primary xylem. You can refer to your textbook. This is the vascular cambium. You know, the cambium is antara itu phloem dengan xylem. The cambium. Vascular cambium, and this is the epidermis, lapisan paling luar. Okay, ini yang first year. Kalau kita bawa keluar the stem like this lah, zoom out, zoom in. Okay, second year, what happened? This is the primary xylem. This is the primary phloem. This is the cork cambium. Shed of epidermis. Vascular cambium here, the green one. Secondary xylem. Ada sudah secondary xylem dan secondary phloem. Okay. Third year, the secondary xylem, dia increase in thickness. So dia punya ini the growth like this. So meaning dia punya diameter of the stem is increasing from year to year. Okay, so this is more clearer picture. Because this is first year. First year, primary xylem, yang ini antara vascular cambium, antara xylem, primary xylem and also primary phloem. This is the epidermis. Tahun kedua, this is yang green one ini adalah vascular cambium. Okay, and then this one is the primary xylem. And then kita ada secondary xylem. Nampak? Secondary xylem. And then yang primary phloem di sini, secondary phloem di sini. Dia forming sudah secondary. So maksudnya dia mengalami pertumbuhan secondary growth lah. Okay, so this is the, what is this? Cambium gabus. What is that in English? I am a bit confused in this Malay terminology. Alright, cork cambium. Cork cambium. And the third year, the growth increase and the thickness of the secondary xylem also increasing. Okay, so this is a secondary growth in stem lah. Okay, so we go to more detail. The first one, secondary growth starts when the vascular cambium divides actively through mitosis. Okay, vascular cambium divides actively through mitosis. Vascular cambium is between the primary and also the primary xylem and primary phloem. Okay, dia bermula dengan itu. And then the second one, the cells in the cambium ring divide inwards to form new xylem and outwards to form new phloem. Di sini kita panggil the new xylem and the new phloem itu kita panggil sebagai secondary xylem and also the secondary phloem. Okay, yang ketiga, when undergoing secondary growth, primary xylem is pushed towards the pith. Dia push towards the center maksud dia. Whereas the primary phloem pula push towards the epidermis. Dia di-push towards out. Okay? So as the result, the primary xylem tissues are compressed to form a stronger wood layer. Okay? Xylem tissue, dia compress to form a stronger wood layer. Sebab dia push towards the what? The pith. Okay? This is because the wall of xylems are thickened with lignin. The thickening of lignin provides mechanical support to the plant. And the fourth one, when the secondary xylem layer is compressed, okay, secondary xylem layer is compressed, there is an addition to the circumference of the stem, okay, which causes the epidermis of the stem to stretch and crack. So cork cambium actively divides to form cork cells on the outer cells and the cortex on the inner side. The cork layer protects the stem from insect and pathogen attack when the epidermis is cracked. Okay, so di sini inilah yang berlaku secondary growth at the stem, di mana the girth ataupun the diameter of the stem increase. Okay, ini lebih jelas lah. Okay. So next one is the secondary growth at the root. Kali ini di root. The root of the plants also undergo secondary growth. Increase the circumference or the diameter of the root. The secondary growth process at the root is the same as the secondary growth of a eudicot stems, dicotyledon. So vascular cambium cells divide actively and combine to form a complete ring. Dia hampir sama macam stem juga, tapi cuma dia berbeza sedikit. The cells in the cambium ring divide inwards to form secondary xylem and outwards to form secondary phloem. Dia hampir sama kan? Due to the vascular cambium activity, the root become thicker. The cork cambium located under the epidermis divides actively to form cork cells. The cork cells provide protection to the root tissues. Okay? So mula-mula primary xylem, primary phloem saja. Selepas itu dia akan form secondary phloem dengan secondary xylem. Okay, so di sini dia akan form cork cell to provide protection for the root tissues. Okay, so di sini kita ada beberapa info. Usia bagi pokok yang hidup di kawasan beriklim sederhana dapat ditentukan berdasarkan gelang tahunan. Okay, so di sini nampak ni gelang tahunan tu, dia ikut gelang tahunan itu adalah dia ikut berapa tahun sudah dia pokok atau usia pokok-pokok tersebut. Okay. Okay. Secondary growth of monocots. Okay, ini monocotyledon lah. Even though most monocots do not undergo secondary growth, some do, such as this one, Dracaena species, Aloe vera species, and Agave species. Okay. So the necessity of primary growth and secondary growth. Apakah kepentingan primary and secondary growth? Primary growth allow the maximum elongations of plants to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. Primary phloem transport the product of photosynthesis from the leaves to the other parts of the plants. Primary xylem transport water and mineral salt from the soil via the roots to the leaves. Primary xylems provide support to herbaceous or young plants. Ini adalah kepentingan primary growth. Manakala secondary growth pula provides stability to plants by increasing the stems and root diameter, okay, to suit the height of the plants. Okay, nanti tumbuhan tinggi tetapi the diameter tidak increasing. So macam mana? Tidak sesuai kan? Okay, so second one, it will provide mechanical support to the plant, produce more xylem and phloem tissue, okay, according to their function. Okay, produce xylem and phloem tissue continuously to replace old and damaged tissues. Produce stronger and thicker bark. Bark is a kulit kayu, to provide protections to the plants from excessive water loss, physical injuries, and also infection by pathogen. Able to live longer by increasing the chances of seed production and also reproduction. Okay, ini adalah kepentingan primary and secondary growth. Okay. Okay. So ini dia punya versi bahasa Melayu. Okay, seterusnya comparison between primary growth and secondary growth in eudicots. Eudicots itu dicotyledon lah. So kalau dia bilang comparison, we must have the similarities and also the comparison. The difference. Okay, so similarity dia, primary and secondary growth. Both growths can increase in size, increase the size of the plants permanently. Both growth occur in woody plants, and both growths involve cell division by mitosis. Okay. So apa itu eudicots? Eudicots itu adalah sama seperti dicotyledon, having two seed leaves upon germination. Okay, this is the Malay version. Differences, the primary and secondary growth in eudicots, aspek dia. Aspek yang pertama adalah meristem tissue involved. Primary growth apical meristem saja, secondary growth adalah lateral meristem, yaitu vascular cambium and cocambium. Second aspect, parts of the plant that undergo growth. This one is in the stem and roots, in the younger region lah. Maksudnya di stem tips, shoot and root tips yang muda. This one occur when primary growth has ceased and matured stem and roots. Okay, bila sudah primary growth lengkap sudah, so dia akan continue secondary growth. Directions of growth, this one, growth occur longitudinally. Maksudnya dia meninggi lah kan, atau memanjang. This one, secondary growth ini adalah radially, meaning dia punya diameter yang increasing. Yang ini growth effect, Di sini, primary growth increase the length of stems and roots of the plants. Here, increase the thickness or circumference of stems and root, the diameter lah. Another aspect, tissues and structure form. Here, epidermis, cortex, primary vascular tissue lah, primary xylem, primary phloem. But here, dia akan form bark, kulit kayu, the periderm, the cork cambium, and cork tissues. Okay, the lenticles, the secondary phloem, secondary xylem. Presence of woody tissue. Di sini do not have woody tissues, but here have woody tissues. Thickness of the bark, here thin, here thick. Presence of annual ring, absence, here presence. Okay, so this is the Malay version. Okay, the economic importance of plant that have undergone secondary growth. Apakah kepentingan ekonomi tumbuhan yang mengalami pertumbuhan sekunder? Okay, secondary growth. Plant that undergo secondary growth have high economic value because they can produce what we call kayu balak. Okay, kayu balak ini cengal, meranti. Alright. Plants that undergo secondary growth have strong and hard woods which are suitable to be used as structures for houseboats, furniture, fences, doors, and others. Boleh digunakan sebagai semua itulah perabot-perabot, houseboat, furniture, kan. The presence of annual rings makes furniture look attractive and they can be made as decorative items. The woods and barks of some plants such as Happier species, merawan, and meranti can produce resin and oil. The substance can be commercialized as varnish, adhesive substance, perfume, and medicine. Flowering plants can be made as decorative plants. Commercialized fruits such as mangoes and mangosteen are products of plants that have undergone secondary growth, and they are able to generate income as well as boost economic growth. Okay, so itu tumbuhan yang mengalami secondary growth juga menyumbang kepada ekonomi. Alright, so itu sahaja untuk hari ini. So sila buat latihan yang telah teacher berikan dan kita akan sambung pada next class. Okay, in Philippians 4 verse 13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Alright, thank you class.